we have got the solution of phi of phi, and we will continue, and we will try to finish theta of theta also. Theta of theta expression is given by this. Okay, you can just go back and recollect, that is this. Okay, now this expression has to be solved. How do we solve this? Okay, so I'm going to make a small substitution, that is z is equal to cos theta. I'm going to make a small substitution, z is equal to cos theta. What is dz? It is nothing but minus sine theta d theta. It is nothing but minus sine theta d theta. I'm just going to take the inverse of this. Okay, that is 1 over sine theta d by d theta is equal to minus d by dz. Okay, and then when you make this substitution, then naturally the theta of theta in this, the original expression, it is in the theta of theta. When you make this substitution, so it will transform to another function, which is a function of z, isn't it? So I'm making, when you are making a substitution in any equation, then naturally that equation will transform to a new equation, which is a function of that particular substitution. Okay, now I made a new variable, z is equal to cos theta. If z is equal to cos theta, that you can calculate dz, and then you can evaluate these numbers. And then naturally, this is a function of this. This is a differential equation, and which is a function of theta of theta. Naturally, it will be converted into some new function. That new function I am calling that as a p, and this p will be a function of z, right? Well, you can just substitute, here. I hope that you can follow why I'm doing this. So 1 over sine theta d by d theta can be replaced with minus d by dz, right? So that is the substitution that I'm trying to make. And before making that, let me write down one more small mathematical trick. Here there is a sine theta. Here there is a sine theta. So the sine theta, I'm trying to write it this fashion, like sine squared theta by sine theta. Essentially, it is going to be a sine theta, right? So that is what it is done here, and then the exactly same expression, just just to replace 1 over sine theta d by d theta. So here you can actually get 1 over sine theta d by d theta. That's the reason. Now, so you can just simply simplify this 1 over sine theta d by d theta, and the numerator here sine squared theta. Sine squared theta, again you can expand like 1 minus cos squared theta. Okay, 1 minus cos squared theta, it can be written like this. And then here that 1 over sine theta, so here 1 over sine theta, there is a d and d by d theta. So this theta of theta I have written out just outside the bracket notation. Why I'm doing this? Because I knew the value of 1 over sine theta d by d theta is equal to minus d by dz. That's the reason that I'm writing all these things. Similarly, in the expression here in the denominator, you have sine squared theta. Sine squared theta, again, it can be basically expanded like this, 1 minus cos squared theta. Okay, so after all these expansions, little bit of using a little bit of mathematic tricks, now you can just start replacing the 1 over sine theta multiplied by d by d theta as 1 minus d by dz. That is what exactly done here. Okay, this exactly is replaced with the minus d by dz, and this is 1 minus z square, because cos theta is nothing but z, right? So this is this, and this again I can replace with minus d by dz, and here p theta, theta of theta. Okay, this now I told you already. So when you make z is equal to cos theta, naturally the theta of theta function transform to a new function, that is pz. Okay, pz is a new function which is a variable in z, right? And beta is remain same, and m square minus m square by 1 minus cos square theta, that is z square. Okay, and here there is a theta of theta that you can replace with p of z, right? So this is very straightforward. And the next step, okay, well, you can see that there is a negative sign here and there is a negative sign here, that you just strike it away, and that is what it is done here. in this expression, as you can see here, so there is a d by d set, d by d set 1 minus z square. Now d by dp z by dz plus beta minus m square by 1 minus z square of p of z is equal to 0. Okay, so just simplify it by just take out the negative signs, because there are two negative signs. Now, having done this, then we got a new expression. What is this expression? This is the expression, and this expression is a function of z. Okay, now the differential equation, now it is a function of z. Now, if you are able to solve this differential equation, you would get what is p of z. What is p of z if you want to determine? Then you have to solve the differential equation, and then you have to make the substitution finally to get the actual function, that is theta function, because z is nothing but the cos theta. In the final expression, you will get some answer. Everything will be a function of z, but then that z, wherever you see a z, that you can actually replace with the cos theta. Okay, this is the differential equation, and in this differential equation, you can actually do a small substitution, that is 1 minus z square to the power modulus of m by 2 multiplied by z of z, g of z. Okay, so wherever p of z is there, that you can replace with that, and then you would get this differential equation. When you make the substitution in this, okay, then finally you will get this expression. So why you are doing, where from you are doing this? Well, it will take another 2-3 hours to explain. There is a textbook, Introduction to Quantum Mechanics, written by Linus Pauling and Wilson. You can just go through this derivation part if you are really interested to go through all those things. It will take a little more time to explain, but what is most important and essence part I'm trying to describe to you. Well, so the differential equation what we got is this, and in this differential equation, if you can actually make this substitution, p of z is equal to 1 minus z squared to the power modulus of m by 2 multiplied by g of z. This substitution, if you make it in the differential equation, what you would get is this differential equation. Okay, and it takes a little time to explain, but for the time being, please accept and please accept this expression, and believe me that this is there. Only then that we can proceed further. And let me tell you what is z of z. Z of z is nothing but it's a unknown function which need to be determined. Now, if you make the substitution in this, you would get this expression. Of course, here I have not written z, but then g is a function of z always. Okay, it is always a function of z. Okay, so this differential equation one has to solve for getting g of z. For getting g of z, one has to solve this differential equation. It's not that easy to solve this expression, but people have managed it. How it is managed, let us look into that. Well, it is by the power series method. So when you don't know something, that this is the best method that you can actually adopt to find the solution. So g of z may be thought of a infinite power series in terms of z. Okay, g of z may be thought of a linear combination of these exponential series, right? And from this, what you can do, you can just calculate its a first derivative. Why? Because in this particular differential equation, we have got the first derivative of z of z, and then second derivative. Okay, second derivative. So we have to first calculate first derivative and then second derivative. Similarly, we have to multiply z of z with this. Okay, so in the power series method, what is generally thought of is this, that the g of z may be expressed as an infinite power series, and the infinite power series has to be uh, taken into consideration to get the actual expression. Now, to get what is g of z, first of all, we should get the coefficient values. Okay, first of all, we should get what are the coefficient values, and the coefficients values are just simply introduced as a a1, a2, a3, and so on, which are to be determined. If you can determine the coefficient values, that is nothing but the which nothing. That means we got the g of z. Okay, so to get the g of z, we follow the power series method. In the power series method, that first we calculate the first derivative, because in the differential equation there is a first derivative is there. So the first derivative can calculate. Okay, here there is a a0 constant, derivation of a constant is a 0, so it is taken out, and then a1z. So a1z is nothing but a1. Derivation of the z is nothing but 1. Similarly, here z square is there. So it is a2 multiplied by 2 z, right? So it is written. So likewise, you can just write down the, you can write down all the terms and their derivatives accordingly. There is absolutely no problem. And having obtained the first derivative, you can just now switch over to the second derivative, calculating the second derivative. And the second derivative is again fairly easy to write down. You can just write down the second derivative. Now in the expression what we got, actually it is 1 minus z square multiplied by d square g of z by dz square, right? Therefore, I'm going to calculate what is uh, minus z square multiplied by d square g of z by dz square, because there is 1 minus z square is there, if you just go back and see, right? Now I have already the second derivative of the function. Now I just wanted to multiply with minus z square. Okay, so minus z square multiplied by the same function, whatever it is there. So this is exactly is taken here, and then I am only multiplying with this. The next step, you can take the z square inside. You can just take z square inside. So here 2 multiplied by a2, but since we are multiplying with the z square, that you can write here. Okay, here z is there, so outside you have z square. So if you combine this and that, it is going to be z cube. And here z square is there, and then here z square, so z to the power 4. So I made a mistake, please correct this. Z to the power 4. So likewise, you can write down all the terms. Of course, I have written some other terms also for the sake of, these are basically general terms. These are basically general terms. The general term in the derivative is given here. The general terms are written here. What is the general term? I want the coefficient of a z to the power mu. I want the coefficient of z to the power mu. So z to the power mu is a common term, a general term. So which will have the coefficient of mu plus 1 multiplied by nu plus 2 multiplied by a suffix nu plus 2, right? That's the coefficient. Similarly, if you want to write down one term before that, okay, here you can substitute wherever nu is there, that nu minus 1 you can substitute and calculate. Similarly, if you want to calculate the right hand side, that is one term after this term, you have to just substitute with nu plus 1. Wherever there is a nu, okay, nu plus 1 you have to substitute. And let me remind you what is nu. Nu is nothing but it's a variable. It can start from 0. This is the nu. Okay, this is nu. Nu can start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So in the g of z is expressed as an infinite power series. Okay, and the coefficient values are to be determined. Okay, and for general, the coefficient of a general term, that is z to the power mu, is taken to be a nu. Okay, a nu. So nu value can start from 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on nu, and then it would continue, okay, up to the infinity. So coming to this point that general terms are important, therefore the general terms are also calculated in this expression. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, that I'm going to multiply the first derivative. This is the first derivative, and then I'm going to multiply the first derivative with minus 2 of modulus m plus 1 multiplied by z. Okay. So the first derivative, I'm just going to multiply with this quantity. Why? Because that in the expression, the differential equation which I had showed you in the previous slide, it is there, right? So that is the second step that we are doing, and we have first derivative here. This has to be multiplied, so that is written as such, and then here there is a z. Now the next step is that, this is a constant, right? M is a constant, 2 is a constant, 1 is a constant, so but then there is a z. This z you can just take it inside. So, and then multiply each term. So when you multiply it, so what you are going to get is this. Essentially, you are going to get a1z. There is a small mistake here, please correct it. A1z plus 2 a2z square plus 3 a3z cube, and so on. And you can write down a general term. The general term is like nu multiplied by a nu z to the power nu. That is the general term. Okay. And similarly, the last term is nothing but the beta minus modulus of m multiplied by modulus of m plus 1 multiplied by the infinite power series. So this is just adapted as such. So we are just multiplying the g of z. G of z is already this quantity. G of z is already this quantity. So that you have to just simply multiply it. That is what it is exactly done here. So this we are multiplying it. So what is the next step? So if you can just see this, okay, is a on the left hand side you have here, on the left hand side you have d square z of z by dz square, right? And this is the quantity. So essentially from this is nothing but 1 minus z square of d square z of z by dz square, right? So if you can combine these two terms, right? Similarly, in the differential equation we have this particular term, right? That is already, it is here, and then this is the one. So you have to take the linear combination of these two things, these three terms, okay? Then that will give on the left hand side the differential equation, okay? On the right hand side you would get these infinite power series. Okay, now as you can realize that these are basically infinite power series, okay? Summation of all the terms in the infinite power series, they becomes 0. Why? Because the differential equation, if you go back and see the differential equation, okay, it is the summation of all these differential equation terms becomes 0. Therefore, here after calculating all these things, if you take the summation of this infinite power series, they must be equal to 0. Okay, that means is what? So the general logic which we have already, which we are already familiarized, like summation of all terms in the infinite power series becomes 0, which means is that the coefficients of each term must be 0. Okay, this is something we have already learned in the previous case. So just to get the a general recursion relation for obtaining the coefficients or calculating the coefficients in the infinite power series, what we can do, we can calculate or compare the coefficients of z to the power nu, which is considered to be the general term. So when you compare the coefficients of the general term, it becomes nu plus 1 multiplied by nu plus 2, a nu plus 2 minus nu multiplied by nu minus 1, a nu minus 2 of modulus of m plus 1 multiplied by nu plus nu multiplied by a nu plus beta, and so on, right? Now you can see here a nu terms, one term is a nu term, okay, this is a nu term, and this is a nu term, and there is a nu term. So all these a nu terms we can actually combine, okay, and then this a nu plus terms can be written the other side. Okay, you can keep the a nu plus 2 term this side, the other one you can just move to the other direction, that means the right hand side, and do the simplification. The simplification, if you do it, it is a nu plus 2 is equal to mu of mu minus 1 plus 2 modulus of m plus 1 multiplied by nu plus modulus of m plus 1 minus of beta by nu plus 1 multiplied by nu plus 2 multiplied by a nu. Okay, that's the thing. Now there is a small thing what we can do here, that this is somewhat very complex to follow it up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to simplify it. So we can simplify this expression like this. Okay, this is just nu multiplied by nu minus 1. So it is nu square minus nu, right? That is what it is done here. Similarly, 2 multiplied by modulus of m plus 1. Therefore, you can just write down. So 2 modulus of m, from this side there is a nu. So 2 modulus of m multiplied by nu plus 2 nu. So here 2, and then from here there is a nu, 2 nu, right? Similarly here modulus of m whole square, and then plus modulus of m. So all these things you can just write down here, and then if you just do a simplification, then this becomes like this. Okay, this is a 2 nu, and the 2 nu has come from 2 nu, right? Now what you can see is that there is nice relation. What is the new relation? So here there is a nu, and here there is a 2 nu, and here there is a 2 modulus of m nu, and here modulus of m square. So I think you can combine is a nu modulus of m whole square, nu square, 2 modulus of m nu. So it is like nu plus modulus of m whole square, plus if you leave that, what is left over is that it is this term. From this term, you will get a nu. So there is a minus nu, there is plus nu. So plus nu, and here on the extreme right side you have modulus of m. So it is like this. So essentially what we got is nu plus modulus of m whole square plus nu plus modulus of m. So nu plus modulus of m, if you can take as a common factor, then the answer becomes nu plus modulus of m plus 1. Nu plus modulus of m plus 1, right? After having simplified this, what is this? This entire quantity. Now we simplify it to be nu plus modulus of m multiplied by nu plus modulus of m plus 1. So that we can replace over there. That is what it is exactly done here. You can see here. Okay, you can just simply replace that, and then it becomes this. So this is somewhat a very clear relation. Well, we are already familiar with this type of relation. This is called a recursion relation in terms of a nu plus 2 and a nu. Okay, a nu and a nu plus 2. That means that if you know what is a nu, then a2, and if you knew what is a2, a4, okay, and then all the subsequent even terms can be calculated. Suppose if you know what is a1, if you know nu plus 2, that means 1 plus 2, that is 3. A3 term can be calculated. Okay, the coefficient. What is A3? A3 is the coefficient in the third term. Likewise, so all the terms can be any terms can be calculated. Any odd terms coefficient can be calculated if you know A1. Right? Because we got a recursion relation. And the recursion relation is nothing but it is a nice relation. If you know one coefficient, the other coefficient values can be easily calculated. Okay, but it is just similar to the harmonic oscillator problem. Please recall that it's like all the coefficients, any coefficient that you may think of in the infinite power series of g of z. Please remember that g of z is equal to a naught plus a1z plus a2z square plus and so on. So the infinite power series is continuing. And in the infinite power series, all the coefficients can be evaluated using this particular recursion relation. And by knowing A1, A3, by knowing A3, A5, by knowing A5, A7, that means all the odd term coefficient can be calculated. Similarly, if A0 is known, A2 can be calculated. And if A2 is known, A4 can be calculated. If A4 is known, A6, and so on, in all the even term coefficients can be calculated. Okay, but in the case of harmonic oscillator, please recall that if the power series is continuing like this, we will not get acceptable solution to the Schrodinger wave equation. That means the power series has to be terminated to a finite power of the variable, that is z in this particular case. Okay, the finite power of z, it has to be terminated. Why? Because if the power series is continuing to infinite value, then we will not get acceptable solutions. Right? That's the reason. Now, how do we terminate? The conclusion is that we have to terminate the power series. The power series to be terminated, we have to use the recursion relation. In the recursion relation, as you can see here, if the beta is actually introduced as a constant, please remember and recollect the theta expression. Okay, 1 over sine theta dou by dou theta sine theta dou by dou theta plus beta minus m square by 1 minus the sine square theta, which is equal to which is actually taken to be minus beta, and beta again is introduced as a constant. Right now, that beta value is not known in the past, but now we are going to, in order to get the acceptable solutions, we are forced to assign some value to the beta value. What is the value? The value is that suppose if the beta value is exactly this quantity, that is nu plus modulus of m multiplied by nu plus modulus of m plus 1, then definitely the power series will terminate to a finite power of z. Right? So we will make use of beta as a weapon to terminate the infinite power series, and therefore the power series will be stopped at a finite power. That means we will get an acceptable solution. So the beta value has to be this much. In order to get the acceptable solution, it has to be this much. And then, it is very difficult to write down again and again nu plus delta, nu plus modulus of m. Instead of writing that one, so let us make a small substitution that L is equal to nu plus modulus of m. Okay, L is equal to nu plus modulus of m. Okay, and as a result of which beta value becomes, beta is nothing but L into L plus 1. Beta is nothing but now L into L plus 1. Coming to the actual and original discussion, which is very, very useful for us, is this. Now, what are the values that you can actually assign for L? The values for L, it depends, of course. L is nothing but nu plus modulus of m. L is equal to nu plus modulus of m. So what is the minimum possible value that we can give to nu? What is nu? Nu is a variable which actually represents the coefficient of the the terms in the infinite power series, that is g of z is equal to a naught plus a1 plus a2 plus c, and so on we have written, right? So a1, a2, a3, and then the general term is a nu. That means the value, the minimum value for nu can be taken to be 0. It can be 0, right? And then the maximum can be infinity. Okay, so the value for L to determine, first of all, since it is a linear combination of nu plus modulus fm, then you can actually uh, first consider mu value. Mu value, minimum possible value is 0. Similarly, what is the minimum possible value for m? Again, it is 0. Therefore, the minimum value that we can assign for L is 0. Okay, what about other possible value? The other possible value is 1. Okay, the other possible value can be 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Why? Because either nu can be 0. You see, only one instant where we will see that both are 0. Other instances we will get actually 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Therefore, the values for L can take from anywhere between 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay, and also I just wanted to tell you one more interesting thing, that L must be always greater than or equal to modulus of m. L must be greater than or equal to modulus of m. Why? Because if m is equal to, m can be 0, right? If m is equal to 0, from this relation, you just see that from this relation itself. So if you can just take the summation, if you can just recollect this relation, from this we can easily make out this. L has to be greater than or equal to m, or m, modulus of m must be always less than or equal to modulus L. That is the condition. So this is something that we have already learned in our previous class. Okay, and of course you might have understood what is L, and it is nothing but the azimuthal quantum number. And this quantum number, again, you can see that what we are actually trying to do, we are trying to find the solution for Schrodinger wave equation of the hydrogen atom. Okay, and we have splitted the total problem into 3. Now, in the first case also, we got some quantum number. So in the second expression, when we are trying to solve, and we are forced to impose a boundary condition. What is the boundary condition here? The boundary condition is that it cannot go to very infinite. The power series cannot go to infinite thing. It has to terminate at a finite power of z power to a finite power of z. Okay, so when you try to impose that particular condition, we realize the fact that L value has to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay, and only when L value 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and for such values only, basically this power series it will terminate. Okay, if you just assign some other values, okay, the beta value will be different. That may not be same as this. Okay, that may not be same as this quantity. So that is nu plus modulus of m multiplied by nu plus modulus of m plus 1. Okay, any value which is not satisfied this particular relation is not acceptable. Any value for L which is not actually which is not satisfying this particular relation, okay, the difference has to be 0. Only then we will get acceptable solutions, right? So this is how the quantum numbers have been arrived, and then it is not done yet. And now let us go back to the original theta of theta expression. That is nothing but 1 over sine theta d by d theta sine theta d theta of theta by d theta plus beta minus m square. That was the case. So it was actually this is the one. The original expression, if you just recall, it will have a beta over here, and then The beta, now we found that it has to be L into L plus 1. Now it has to be L into L plus 1. So that we have to substitute and we will get this differential equation. Please remember and try to understand, we have not got what is the wave function for theta of theta. The whole purpose of our discussion is to find out what is theta of theta. But what we got is a contour number, right? What we got is a contour number, that's all. But then what is theta of theta is not understood as of now. Well, this particular differential equation, what you see here, which is actually kept in a red circle or the oval shape, it is called associated Legendre differential equation. It is called associated Legendre differential equation. It is well-known differential equation to the mathematicians, and the solutions of the associated Legendre differential equation are known as associated Legendre polynomials. Associated Legendre polynomials. Therefore, the people have simply taken and adopted the solution directly from the mathematicians. That's all. Because already they have done and they have worked it out how to solve associated Legendre differential equation. Please recall that we have solved what is Hermite differential equation, and the solutions of Hermite differential equations are referred to as a Hermite polynomials. Okay. Likewise, here that the expression what we got is of the form of associated Legendre differential equation, and its solutions are called associated Legendre polynomials. Since already it has been well established by the mathematician, the solutions, so it is just the quantum physicists who are actually involved in those days, they just taken the solutions and then they have put forward it to us. Well, so this particular solution, this is the actual solution of the associated Legendre polynomial. Sorry, this is the actual solution of associated differential equation. Theta, which actually depends upon two quantum numbers, that is ln modulus of m of theta is equal to square root of so and so, so and so. This is essentially is a normalization constant which is multiplied by a function, and this function can be evaluated by this function, right? And again here there is another function, this can be evaluated by this. Okay, so there is a normalization constant in the solution which is multiplied by a function. This function can be calculated by this expression, and here there is a PLZ. PLZ can be evaluated by this. So this is the way that we can actually calculate the associated polynomials. Okay, so well, with this I think I want to stop it for further discussion for today. Dear student, what we have discussed today is basically the solution of phi of phi expression and also theta of theta expression. And in the process, we got the two quantum numbers, and these quantum numbers are nothing but the azimuthal quantum number and magnetic quantum number. And the possible values for L and M are already known to you, but you know how they have arrived is basically now it is revealed to you. Okay, so if you are trying to find the solution for the Schrodinger wave equation, in the process that you are forced to impose the boundary condition. So if you try to impose the boundary condition, naturally the quantum number will arise. Okay, and the exact solution of associated Legendre differential equation is beyond the scope of our subject, which I have not discussed. But then what is important for all of us is to remember and memorize the expression what is written in this particular slide. Associated Legendre polynomials are the solutions of theta expression. Okay, so please try to understand and memorize this particular expression, because this will be useful to calculate the different uh, expressions for the spherical harmonics. Okay, expression for the spherical harmonics can be calculated by this formula, and which will be useful in addressing a lot of CSR questions as well. These three formulas which I have listed here are very, very important, because some of the questions in the internal exam as well in the final exam also can be asked from these formulas. Okay, the solution part, what we have discussed, may not be very much useful as far as a chemist is concerned, but you are supposed to remember these formulas, because we can this formula will help us to understand and calculate certain spherical harmonics, which actually give you the real picture of the orbitals, right? So with this, I complete the discussion for today, and we will meet in the next class. Thank you for listening.